Kweku Afari from the We Talk Football podcast is here as well. Big Chelsea fan. Hello.
How you doing, guys?
Yeah, thank you very much for joining us on the show.
I'm Chelsea.
You two try and behave yourself and try and be a little bit... Well, we don't want you to be unbiased. We just want you to tell you what you think is going to happen over the course of the summer, because it's a big summer for Chelsea, isn't it? How do they bridge the gap next season? Because Chelsea have been linked today with Lewandowski, but... they've got to offload Lukaku first. Lewandowski's actually declared his preference. He wants to go to Barcelona. So shouldn't they go all in for someone like Raheem Sterling because he's clearly available?
I think players can be persuaded. So if you're talking about Robert Lewandowski, look, the first thing is what's going to happen with Lukaku, and Thomas Tuchel needs to be able to make that decision. And if he believes he can get the best out of him, which I'm not sure he can, then somehow they need to offload him. But that's going to be a real costly thing to do. I personally would like to see Tuchel say just somehow have a conversation with Lukaku. Right, what do we need to do to get the best out of you? Done, Scott. It's not going to happen. Yeah, I do get that.
It feels like that's done. It sounds
Tuchel
like
has said,
put a line under
it's not about us adjusting to him. He's got to adjust to us, and it's clearly not happened. Lewandowski, I think, would be absolutely superb, clearly on the short term, even if it's just a 2-year contract. He might get away with a 3, but even a 2-year, he's proven right now. And Chelsea, to be fair, are all about the here and now. They have been for the last 2 decades. Raheem Sterling, even more a no-brainer. I mean, my goodness, because you kind of think, well, where could he go? He's not going to go back to Liverpool. He's not going to go to United. Next best? Well, I say next best. United are way down there. But Chelsea... it would be perfect for him. Chelsea and Spurs, I think, would be 2 good moves for him. But Chelsea is still, I think they would be able to bridge that gap certainly more than what Spurs could do. So absolutely go for him.
We will talk about Spurs later on in the programme, but because I think that actually they're more likely to be the biggest challengers to Liverpool and Manchester City next season, bearing in mind their manager and their recruitment that
Spurs over Chelsea
are doing at the moment. Chelsea, for example, Chelsea haven't even got a central defender to play alongside Thiago Silva yet. Is that what they need, a Raheem Sterling or another striker, in your opinion, or do they need to worry about their defence?
You mentioned it there. I think that it's the defence that's the priority for Chelsea, and that was the hallmark of Tuchel in his first season at Chelsea, where we won the Champions League. It was that resolute defence that led us to Champions League glory against Man City in the final, and that kind of went to pot this season. We kind of saw Chelsea concede goals that they hadn't previously, and Jules Koundé has been a man who's been linked with Chelsea for seems like a year now, and I think they will get that business done and bring him in to play alongside Thiago Silva. But there are other areas that need to be addressed at Chelsea, as like left wing back. If you look at Marcus Alonso, he's been playing this trade at Chelsea.
Chilwell should be back though.
Chilwell should be back, but we need a backup, and I think Alonso will be on his way out of Stamford Bridge. So Chelsea have got so many issues to address, and similar to yourself, Scott, I do feel like ideally, in an ideal world, if Tuchel can put his arm around Lukaku and try and convince him to stay, then that would be best for all parties, because this is the man that cost $1/10 billion, let's not forget. This is the man that costs so much money.
It actually looks like poor recruitment. Now, bearing in mind that the problem is him adjusting to us, not us adjusting to him. That was the quote from Thomas Tuchel. To me, that looks like a poor decision in the first place to bring him to the football club, because Chelsea actually have had a problem with goals for a long time. I mean, you said the defence is a priority. They conceded only 33 goals last season, which was just 7 more than Manchester City and Liverpool, but they scored over 20 goals fewer. And that is a problem that has been around for 2 years.
And what I've noticed of Chelsea as well, being a lifelong Chelsea fan, is that when Chelsea managed to get a striker that scores over 20 Premier League goals, more times than not, Chelsea win the Premier League. If you look at Didier Drogba in the 09-10 season, you look at Diego Costa in the 2 seasons where Chelsea won the league, when Chelsea get a striker that can bang in 20 goals, more than likely win the league, because Chelsea's DNA and their history is solid defensively, and then if you get a man who can put the ball back in the net, you're going to be successful. And we haven't been able to find that since Diego Costa. Tammy Abraham came in and did a decent enough job, but wasn't really the man for Chelsea. And Romelu Lukaku just looks like it wasn't a fit. It looks like Thomas Tuchel wasn't the man who wanted to bring in Lukaku, who came from the hierarchy. And it seems like the relationship has been severed and there's no salvaging it.
You lifelong Chelsea fan, do you remember seeing Scott Minto?
I was going to ask, how old are you?
Despite these boyish good looks, I'm 28 years old.
So you don't remember?
You were alive.
Yeah, no,
you don't remember.
What's going on there?
So you don't remember
get your passport out.
Scott left in 1997, so you would have been, what, 3?
Yeah, 3, 4.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, dear.
One of my earliest footballing memories was actually the '97 Cup final at Dean Taylor Golf. So I do. Yeah.
You watched it on video though, didn't you?
No, I do.
You did. Don't tell us lies.
What?
He went on YouTube, not video.
Yeah. You streamed that.
We were VHS cassettes back in the day.
I think it's a massive mistake to have let Tammy Abraham go, actually, because if you look at his record, I think it seems like it was a bit of a mistake, really.
Can I just say, I don't just think it was a mistake with Abraham. I think it was a mistake for Tomori as well.
But that's another one.
Absolutely.
Especially, and Gurhey.
I think Gurhey's a little bit behind Tomori, but when you think of what he's done this season, and then even watching him against Italy, he just looks so composed. He's always been a great defender. I went to a game a couple of seasons ago at the Bridge where he man-marked Salah out the game. I mean, every time Salah went towards Tomori and there was a little race, it was like, whoa.
Outpaced. I remember that game. We lost it, but Tomori came out smelling the flowers. He was absolutely incredible, and he's somebody, especially because there's no clause in his contract. I do believe there is a clause in Tammy Abraham's contract that triggers next year, but with Tomori, it seemed like him and Lampard fell out and we let him go, and now we're seeing how well he's doing. I don't think they fell
out, actually.
No,
I don't think they fell out. I just think that at the time he preferred somebody else, and it just wasn't working. They didn't think it was gonna gel, so they let him go, and he wanted to play football, obviously, because I think he felt he was good enough to get in the England team. He probably sensed a weakness in the England team, which obviously has been exposed, and now he finds himself in it. And actually, I think going forward, he's got a very good chance of being part of the World Cup squad. That
Absolutely.
is for sure. The club standards have been very, very high over the last 20 years. They've been cutthroat. They've been incredibly ruthless when they've needed to be. Does Todd Boehly have to be the same, or should he be more patient?
I actually think that in Thomas Tuchel, and what you got to do is, although maybe Poch could be around, you got to look around if you're going to.
Well, he is. I mean, according to that story in the Athletic today, he's already out of a job.
I'm a big fan of his. I've got to be honest with you. I mean, how Manchester United didn't snap him up years ago, I don't know, but they didn't snap up Conte either, and again, perhaps shows why they are where they are. But you got to look at what's around if you're going to get rid of someone. I believe Thomas Tuchel is up there with, or maybe just a tiny bit behind, Pep and Klopp, and then you've got Antonio Conte, and with Tuchel there as well, I'm hoping that he could be the longest serving Chelsea manager for a very long time.
It doesn't take much, does it?
Well, exactly. It just takes about 3.5 seasons.
But second only to Watford.
I think I genuinely think. I mean, we don't really know. Todd Boehly's not really come out and said, and we won't know until season after season. People ask me, with Chelsea change. Well, we're buying a club for $2.5 billion and putting in an extra 1 3/4. I think it shows in the short to medium term, nothing much is going to change in terms of they'll be up there. But you've got to get the right coach in place. And I do think that Tuchel is the right coach.
Yeah, I think that most people believe that it would be stupid to get rid of him, especially when you look at the landscape and there isn't many alternatives. I mean, he is, and he's won the Champions League for Chelsea.
It'd be the biggest mistake Chelsea could make in terms of getting rid of Thomas Tuchel. It's no surprise that the top 4 teams in the Premier League have got the best 4 managers. If you look at Pep, you look at Guardiola, look at Conte, you look at Tuchel. Football now, increasingly so, is a manager's game. It's based on philosophy, it's based on tactics. And if you've got one of the best managers in the world, you don't get rid of him for blood or money. So you've got to keep Thomas Tuchel and hope that he can figure it out, because he's the one stability factor with Chelsea this season.
Superb stuff. Thank you very much. That's Kweku Afari from the We Talk Football podcast. He's also one of the producers on this programme. So if it's really good, he's taking credit for it. If it's really bad, it's all his fault.